If you've been hesitant to create a custom GPT because you're worried about how complicated it is, I want to show you a really simple one that I created to automate the creation of a monthly post for Nashville Software School. So every month we publish a blog post on the upcoming tech meetups around town in Nashville. And that was a lot of copy pasting. And so to simplify that, I created a custom GPT. I had been playing with ChatGPT in the normal prompt window and doing that for several months, but I was never getting the same results. Every blog post was a little different in its format, and there was a lot of cleanup I had to do. And so things weren't working exactly how I wanted them to. But since I created the custom GPT, everything is much cleaner. I get the results that I want the first time. I'm not having to do a lot of digging to refine things and clean it up. So let me walk you through this. It's a great way to automate a task and something that you have to repeat on a regular basis. So this is the edit window for the custom GPT, and it has, of course, a name and a description, but the instructions is where the core of the magic is. So in this custom GPT, I'm telling it what it's going to do. It's going to write a blog post in HTML. I'm not actually just looking for the copy. I want the HTML framework around it so that I don't have to do a bunch of formatting later. The user is going to provide photos and text to tell you what the meetups are. You should read those and then create a list of events for the blog post, and then make sure you include a URL for each event. And then I provide all of the URLs that I wanted to use. One of the things that I was struggling with just using the regular chat is it would create URLs and they wouldn't always be accurate. So it might be a meetup URL, but it's not going to the exact right place and it would look realistic, but when you click on it, it would be an error or a page doesn't exist. So I've given it all of the URLs here that I want it to use. And if it finds an organization that's new and not in this list, I've asked it to print add URL. So rather than creating a URL and making me think it has it and it's real, I want it to say add URL so I know to go and fix it. And then I can also come in here and add it to this list. I then gave it a blog post. I said, I want you to follow this format. And I also wanted all the links to open in a new window. So I gave them an example from a prior month and copied the HTML and put it in here. So it had a good example of what we've been creating. And then I asked it to also create some social media posts. So after you write the blog post, create 4 social media posts. I also wanted it to break those social media posts by week so that each week starts on a Monday and ends on Sunday. ChatGPT had some trouble with that in this custom GPT. So that's something I had to iterate on and edit later. And what I did is I went to the normal prompt window in ChatGPT and had it create a file of the weeks in 2025 and created starts on Monday, ends on Sunday. It had no problem doing that in its own little isolated prompt. I exported that result and I uploaded it, and I'll show you where it's at. All right, so that's the instructions. You do a conversation starter. You can put that in. That helps, if you're, especially if you're sharing this GPT with somebody, that helps them know what this can do and gives them a place to start interacting with your GPT. And then here's the file that I put weeks in 2025. So you can upload all kinds of files. So if you have brand documents that outline your brand and have best practices and things like that, you can put all of those in here so that it is operating off of your brand and not just general knowledge. So this doesn't have a ton of brand emphasis in it for this particular post. So I don't have that in here. But certainly if you were building out a custom GPT to maybe help you create social media content or to be essentially a colleague, you can create a colleague that you can bounce ideas off of. You'd want to put some of that information in here so that it can learn from that and you'll get better results. All right, so let's go try this. So I am in the Meetup blog post GPT. You can see it down here or see it up here. So it's a little different than so you tell you're not in the normal chat GPT prompt window. And here's my example prompt. So when I click that, it's going to ask me for my images or text. So I'm going to go ahead and drag in my images. And these are all just screenshots from Meetup and websites for the different events. So if they're on Meetup, I'm able to just take a bulk screenshot of several events that are happening. And if it's on an individual website, I just take a screenshot of that event page so that it has all of its relevant information. So you can see here it has already spit out a blog post. And I don't usually do a whole lot of editing and verifying in here. I usually take it over into my blog editor and do all my edits in there. But it is ready to go. I can, of course, as I clean it up, I can clean it up, such as removing topic TPD. And I can also then see if there are any links that are missing. It is opening the links in a blank page or a new tab. So it is doing all of the things that I asked it to do. There's no crazy spans or styling. There is some bolding, which is great because that would have been in my original file. But it's nice and clean HTML and simple, which is what I want it to create. Here are the social media posts. You can see that it has broken it up by weeks. So each week has its list of corresponding dates. And then I always recommend trust but verify. So looking at these dates is I will go back to the images and review the images and make sure that these are on the correct dates so that when I go live with the blog post, it is accurate. So that's walking through a simple custom GPT created so that I can replicate a process. I'm not having to put in all of these instructions every time I'm wanting to do a new blog post, which is something you can do. You can create these instructions and keep them in a file for your prompt engineering file and grab them and drop them into a chat GPT window. This isn't a complicated piece, but the fact that I don't have to go and copy paste it into a chat GPT window, I can just come in here and run it has been hugely helpful. And since it's something that's done every month, saves me time. So if you're doing anything that has a lot of repetition, this is certainly a great way to get it started and to repeat it on a regular basis. You can also build these out to be more of a creative voice if you are putting in your branding information and are providing more examples and more context. I hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions about how I'm using custom GPTs, I would love to connect with you down below in the chat.